All right, yo, 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 yo. It's your main man, Matete, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, madame et monsieur. We are talking gear today. Having the right gear on Mount Fuji will directly affect the quality of your climb. So, on the greatest of days, no wind, absolute bluebird day, the perfect test of days, you might get away with a cotton t-shirt, you might get away with sneakers and jeans, but on 99% of the days, I guarantee you that at one point you will be cold, at one point you'll be hot, at one point you'll be wet, and at one point you'll be dry. You get a mixed bag of all sorts of things, so having the right equipment will directly affect the quality of your climb. I've worked as a guide on Mount Fuji for almost a decade, been up there hundreds of times. I've been up there in every single weather imaginable, and here's my list of gear I think you should have with you. Okay team, so the first item we have on the list is hiking boots. You're going to want to get something that is sturdy. You're going to want to get something with good ankle support, like stiff boots. This has the rubber sealing all the way around, as you can see. I can really cinch the laces down, and it's pretty waterproof. I wouldn't go for something like a trail runner. You will see people in sneakers and trail runners, but Mount Fuji is dusty. You're gonna get a lot more dust in these. It's not as waterproof. The waterproofing on a boot like this is gonna be superior, as well as the upper. The mesh here is quite soft, so especially on the descent, you're gonna start to feel your feet move, and over lots and lots of steps, you're gonna start to, your feet are gonna slide forward, toes might hit the front of the shoe, something like that. These are also way more flimsy than a boot like this, so over time you're gonna feel every rock sort of underneath your feet. It can start to hurt. One more thing to think about together with boots here is to have socks, right? A good pair of socks that you like. Now for any item, it could be t-shirts or pants, underwear, whatever, socks. Make sure to bring doubles, especially if you're doing an overnighter and your stuff gets absolutely soaked. Mount Fuji at the mountain huts, there's not going to be any opportunity to dry your gear. If it's wet and you show up at the mountain hut, you get a plastic bag, your gear lives in there, and you have to put it on the next day when you head out the door again. So always bring doubles. Gaiters, these things go around your leg and hooks on to your laces, especially on Mount Fuji, what it'll do is it'll stop rocks from getting into your boots. If you have trousers that go over the cuffs of your boots that you can cinch down, you can get away without them, but Mount Fuji is tough on gear. The volcanic rocks are sharp, and having gaiters is always going to be nice. Gear, make sure you have tops and bottoms. Mount Fuji is known for just extreme weather conditions. It's always raining, always expect to get wet, and even if it doesn't rain, it's still a good wind barrier. And having said that, also a rain pack cover. One of these. Rain gear for your backpack. The climbing season is in the summertime in Japan. It's going to be quite warm. For the majority of day one, I'm okay in a t-shirt. At the moment, I'm wearing cotton, but don't wear cotton. Yeah, cotton just tends to not dry very fast, so make sure to wear some quick drying materials. But you're also going to want to make sure to bring sort of winter wear, winter clothes, because once you get to the mountain hut and it becomes dark at nighttime and you hike up to the summit in the middle of the night, is going to be very cold. So I would suggest you bring a beanie, a hat, or something like that. I would bring long johns for your mountain hut stay, and I do have 2 jackets usually with me as well. I've got kind of like a fleece layer, and I've also got a warm kind of winter jacket to bring with me. A puffy, if one even should. All of those warm layers that I have, I might even bring 2 fleeces with me. I'll definitely bring 2 t-shirts, 2 underwears, and 2 hiking pants, pairs of hiking pants, and all that kind of stuff, especially if I get drenched on day one. So once I'm at the mountain hut, I can comfortably change. I can change, and I'm dry again, dry and warm at the mountain hut. When it really rains on Mount Fuji, a rain pack cover is not going to be enough to keep the contents of your bag dry. So anything you want to keep dry, like extra clothes, valuables, phones, that kind of stuff, make sure to have a couple of these. These things are dry bags. You can roll them up and place them in your backpack, and even if your backpack gets wet, the contents of your backpack will be safe. It does get cold at the summit of Mount Fuji, or towards the higher elevations, so I like to bring sort of fisherman's gloves that they sell here in Japan, and they're warm on the inside but waterproof as well. These are the best gloves that you can get for Mount Fuji. Additionally, you know, you should always bring 2 pairs, especially if you want to, you know, if it's raining on day 1, you don't want to use wet gloves again. But if it's, you know, if it's not that cold, but just cold enough that you want to break the wind or something, you can get something just a little bit thinner as well. But I usually bring 2 pairs of waterproof gloves with me on every trip. A hat, sunglasses, and we're gonna get to all the smaller stuff like sunblock. You're definitely gonna want to bring sunblock with you. You're gonna want to bring a headlamp as well. Headlamps are good not only for climbing up to the summit on day 2 when it's dark, but it is dark in the mountain huts as well. And speaking of the mountain huts, there's no electricity there, or they do have electricity but they have no outlets for you to charge your phone. So bring a portable charger and that kind of good stuff. And let's get to food and water. So at the mountain huts, you can actually, if you're staying in a mountain hut, they usually come with dinner and breakfast, but you're burning a lot more calories while you're on Mount Fuji. So it's always good to bring some extra stuff with you. So if you're climbing in season, so that's early July to early September, there are going to be a series of mountain huts open on your route. So you can resupply there. You can resupply with water, and snacks, things like that. I recommend you to bring enough snacks for 2 days, because you never really know how well stocked they are. And for water, you know, I usually bring 5 liters with me, which is enough for 2 days. But it's whether you want to carry it up, or you can purchase water on the mountain. But about 500 milliliters is going to be about 500 yen. So it's Mount Fuji prices. It's 5 times the price of down here in the city. But yeah, I bring about 5 liters of water with me. Garbage bag. So on Mount Fuji, you need to be responsible for all of your trash. So there's going to be no trash cans, anything like that. If you purchase something at a mountain hut, whatever trash that produces, they'll take back. But everything else you need to be responsible for. Another additional thing I would bring is some cash. On Mount Fuji, all the bathrooms are going to cost a couple of coins. This is because there's no plumbing. They're going to have to take down the waste at the end of the season, and between 200 and 300 yen is the price of each bathroom break. First aid kit. So depending on the route you take, if you're on the Fujinomiya route or if you're on the main route, which is the Yoshida route, during the in-season, in the main season, they do have doctors at a couple mountain huts, but for small cuts and bruises and things like that, you should bring a small first aid kit. Help can be far away on Mount Fuji. So as there's no running water on Mount Fuji, it's always good to consider bringing wet wipes, alcohol wipes, things like that, along with your toiletries. So bring a toothbrush and things like that, but you will need to use your own water when brushing your teeth. Now, finally, we've gathered all of our stuff. It all goes into a 30 to 35 liter backpack. Is going to be just enough, just the right size for all of the gear. Now, last but not least, we have hiking poles. Now, hiking poles, they are personal preference. I like to use them. I use them both for the way up and for the way down, but particularly for the descent, they're going to be super nice. I always say, for those of us that are older than 18 years old, the descent tends to be a little tougher than going uphill, especially on the joints, things like that. So the poles are a lifesaver. Carbon. Now on Mount Fuji, you can get the classic Mount Fuji souvenir, which is a Mount Fuji hiking staff, I suppose. It's a wooden staff, and you can get them branded at each hut along the way, with the final one being at the summit. If you would like to do this, you can purchase these hiking staffs at most of the huts in town, most of the huts at the 5th Station Trailhead. There's numerous places where you can buy them. Each brand will cost between 200 and 300 yen as well. And they're only available during the climbing season though. I hope you guys learned something about what to bring, and we hope to see you on Mount Fuji.